That's going to be the question. I mean, it's stubbed out to the south there on Hillcrest. So
half street.
And maybe what we have to do. The problem is the angle that it comes in at. I mean, there's no space to make that angle work.
A sweeping arc to tie into it.
That bold line that runs through the middle of that street is their property line.
It's whose property line?
That's this one.
Yeah.
You know, this alignment was not the best in hindsight.
So this is actually property.
We talked about the eastern side, connectivity potentially if things happen with Lowell. Are you suggesting that is at the end of that cul-de-sac?
So we could run right of way up north if we wanted to, but our thought was for now to do some sort of trail or something back there so that we don't have an issue with fire because they can't go up there and turn around. If we did a turnaround, it would remove that existing pond, and we didn't really want to take that out.
But there's enough there for if
Yeah.
the future street went through, there's enough on the existing property and those lots to have width-wise.
You've got 81 feet
Okay.
just on quick math there from the back of those lots to the eastern property line.
Okay.
And that could obviously adjust. If we wanted to squeeze lots 2 through 5 just slightly and scoot them down, we can still meet that 0.6 acre standard. The ridge kind of happens and that gully kind of happens. See where that parking is?
Mm-hmm.
Just to the south of that. So it really drops off right after that. So that's why we're keeping this east-west road kind of where it's at.
So this property that is not part of your project in the northwest corner. Am I seeing this right? Their property line is actually in the middle of what you're showing us that street?
Yes, ma'am.
How is that?
Remember what we talked about was that is a possibility if they can come to an agreement to get a full street. We'd like to see connectivity. They've got to work that out on the civil side if they can obtain it.
Us. Yes, ma'am.
The other
Yes, ma'am.
property, yeah.
The goal would be to connect into Hillcrest there at that road that's stuck.
Any conversation as yet?
No, ma'am.
It's here.
Yeah, it's,
At public hearing.
This is our first step. Is once we get past this, then we can put more money
and
towards it.
this right here is kind of the talking through the concepts. We're not making any action on it. It's, our request was get the things that were talked about on paper, right? And then have those communications not only with our city council. We had a lot of conversation around streets, right? So which involves our council, but then also I think you guys are going to also talk with City of Springdale and see if there was anything there, what their thoughts are, right? And potentially Lowell on some of their matters that they're talking about, and see what some of those avenues might open up or what they might maybe in the future, right?
Yes, sir. I can't justify all the legwork until I have y'all feeling comfortable.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, 100%.
What's our linear feet before you require a stub out? I thought it was 600 to 700, something like that. Do you know what it is for a subdivision?
she should have 600 to 700.
So we are.
Well, I'm just wondering if we're looking at the wrong spot for that stub out. I know that they have one over there, but maybe that's for that future lot developing connection. If we can't get the right away, is there another, this is all Hillcrest back here, I
Right.
don't know that they want
we'll have to try to see if we can work that out, or if that's even possible. We do have on the other two concepts, if you look at that similar location, we have two other options kind of for how we could end that street. I mean, we could integrate that in somehow. I think concept 6 just ends with that lot ending on the west side.
And it might be that this, I mean, that just stopped there.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer to have
I
like
know.
that one little
Mhm.
stretch,
I know.
or so close to having further connectivity.
Yeah.
Even if, one of the thoughts if it were only half street, I mean, I know it's not ideal for the city. It's not ideal, but I don't know if we're gonna get it from the neighbor.
Right.
Well, I mean, you've gotta have the right of way there, and this maybe just stops right here, and then that is if
I don't think
anything.
you could do the half street, you
So
know,
if
they
we-
could
could they
probably
build that
true
here?
in the center, you know, with the fence and everything. Yeah.
I just think it stubs out, it's probably, it stubs, and then that is left natural grass space until,
The right of way.
yeah, the right of way's there.
Would there be a fee and lieu collected, so that whenever we could get that, we were able to put in the little piece of street?
And that's something that we
We
could
could talk through with the
Yeah,
attorney. But the way that it comes into the property, it's gonna be really far-fetched unless you get that.
Yeah.
I mean, concept 3 would leave us with the most opening and the least issues from multiple standpoints, just because of we would leave the space for the right of way into that lot, 221. It wouldn't stub out far enough to cause any fire related issues, but the right of way would be there. It would also leave buffer zone for construction.
Are you just kind of referencing the layout of that corner?
Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, roughly the way that corner's laid out on concept 3. See how we just stubbed the road?
Yeah.
Concept 6 would be a little tight.
He's just referencing kind of how that corner, not this, but how that corner kind of lays out.
I have a 3.
6, 4,
What's this one?
6, I have 2 6s.
You got 2 6s?
You have 2 6s?
And we have a random 4 over here. Do you have a concept 4?
That is very random. But yeah,
Yeah.
Because I have something
Yeah, but
similar,
that's
but it's
the-
concept 3.
Yeah, 3, yeah.
so you should have 3 6s.
Yeah, I got 2 6s. I have 4 6s, and 4, and I have 3. We have 3. Oh, yeah, 3, 3 and 1.
Well, this is where we started.
Yes, I
And
know.
then he's always referencing it.
Like I said, we've been through 9
That's
now.
what works.
So
And where we talked through it, what I recall and what I kind of jotted down when we talked through this is that, we're more minimal to if we got to a 150 target, right? Because if you looked at that and how residential, or how its future land use map shows, our density level is below that, right? It was around, it was gonna be the same, it was gonna be very equivalent to.
well, I thought it was medium density.
It was medium
R-
density, see, we were at
R3.
2, yeah, but we were at R2, R3, we were at,
So we went
I'm
from
going off the top of my head, was it that we came out to just at 2
So
homes
we're-
per acre
Well,
calculation?
but what you said earlier, what you said was 161 lots.
yeah.
At 77 acres is 2.09.
Yeah,
Should be
and
more.
at 150, we were gonna be right at 2, or right just under, like 1.97 or something like that. And that was kind of the target, like, conversation we were talking about.
And that very well could end up being what happens anyways after we get actual environmental studies and utility alignments. And I mean, this is just gridded out, you know.
Right.
It never ends up being like this. I can tell you that.
Right, this is kind of the,
Especially in topography.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's like 160 feet of elevation fall off the site, so It's gonna be tight.
Still a lot of cars.
What other amendment suggestions would you have?
Other than the R2?
R2 though is to 12.6 acres per lot. So I'm trying to, in my head, figure out what's the difference.
So
What are we budging on going from R2 to R3? How many more houses is that adding?
these larger lots are R2.
There are
Well, what they're proposing here, how many more houses is this adding than where they were at R2? With this land going at around 150 houses. If it was R2, how many houses can they get? And then.
Not very many.
70.
And
So-
you can do the calculator, but that's not gonna take into consideration all the
Topography,
cars and
streets.
topography issues.
So, R2,
Yeah, if you didn't have those to consider, it was just a nice flat tract of land. Yeah.
it's not too far off from an R2 type density.
That's kind of what we're getting at. It's like we have smaller lots on the front side, but we have medium sized lots in the middle, and then these ones on the back are R2.
And then you
It's
have
just-
the large.
So,
Trying to keep a lot of space for green
just trying
space,
to get a reference to
topography fall off, trails.
Yeah. And
But if you were looking at it from just the standpoint, we're talking about taking R2, just half acre lots, subdivisions, then you'd be looking at like 150 lots.
Yeah, 6
It's roughly a tenth of an acre, in there taken up for, every 10 homes, you might lose 15 lots, so like 140 lots, with like 0.06-ish. So I mean, they're at like 20 more lots than that.
So it's like 20 houses difference than what they're already approved for,
Rough,
well, they're not approved for what's being presented.
or what it's currently zoned for.
And we
And what
did
we're
the
20 is moving to, right? Because it's already zoned R2, right?
Only
Part of it.
Only part of it. The
only
other is
part of it.
agriculture. Yeah, so part of it is A1.
So if the
I thought the
whole
whole
thing,
thing was R2.
if the whole thing was R2, and R2 says 6/10 of an acre per lot, you'll have the 120, and then.
That's right. That's right. 128.
So what they're saying is with all this, they're probably going to end up with about 150 lots.
So those are gonna, on average, is half acre lots. On average, that's not true in terms of they're gonna be smaller lots.
Right.
But you're,
So
right
basically,
now,
the difference will be like 23.
could be,
Yeah.
could be, again,
Right,
until,
yeah, until, yeah.
we know
With
that.
all the challenges that this property represents.
Like we know lot 168 is a large lot, right? It's just gonna be kind of open space and empty space kind of thing, right? Because it's the topo.
I mean, there may even, it looks like you might get another stub out north and south, and they're gonna lose a lot of other things, they're gonna lose a lot of topography. Not a lot, a few lots. lower? Or is it a, go talk to council, let's see what they say? So I mean, ultimately, whatever decision we make, we're sending it to council or not.
Right.
Council's making the final say.
I mean, officially, we're gonna be tabling tonight, so, you know, either way, it's more for us to just try to move forward.
I'm wondering,
Is there a layout? I mean, like, you feel good with like the number 9 layout? You know, like some that way they can have like a one to kind of move forward with.
Well, from my opinion, it's just my opinion, concept 9 is closest to what we kind of culminated to at the end of the work session.
Right.
So if I was gonna take anything to the council to get their input, it'd be concept 9,
Yes.
in my opinion.
I think I would show iterations that you have been progressing and reducing lots down.
Like what I did in, like, with the 3, 6, 9,
I think
like,
it's good to see the progress we've been discussing it.
maybe not 4.
The other, yeah, the other thing that I would guess would be my recommendation to council through discussions with them is, you know, the topography is point out some areas on here that you say, you know what, these may not make, right? We all kind of have our own ideas. You got an engineering eye for it to say, hey, if not, you know, if I was going to guess once the studies come in, these are the ones with the most risk of not making.
Right.
And kind of point some of those areas out, some of those high spots, those highlight spots, so that they can pictorially see that.
And get a more realistic one count.
Yeah, you can just say, you know, this. We know that this is this is the top end. We're all anticipating something less, but anticipations of what less is going to vary between member to member,
Right.
council person to council person, you know, across. So.
Well, I think the per acreage actual number is very important in this.
I think it's important to the story. There will be some people that will not be happy with it because they will see that that's density than more than what they envision the density should be. But on the flip side, with how the future land use map was put together, is that realistic, right? And I think that's part of the storyline is, are we staying below what it could be? We still have to address the traffic. We still have to address those components. And that's a very important point of conversation with council. I did speak with a council member this past week about this, to ask more about impact fees and get that opened up with conversation with them, how we address egress in and out of here as a city. I've also asked if we cannot get some more communication with RDOT about reducing the speed on East Lowell Avenue. If we cannot put in traffic devices or a way that we can get that reduced potentially to mitigate any types of accidents that occur at Ford and East Lowell. Again, I'm just asking questions that those things can be put in motion, because I know that we can at least, we have the city can do the due diligence to move some of those things forward. Let's see, what do you have any?
Yeah,
more advice?
no, and as far as the rezone is concerned, that they've addressed, I think, pretty well all the issues that we had. My bigger concerns is with getting in and out at Ford Lane and being able to widen that road to handle the traffic, and so that's not a rezone issue.
And we have the traffic study too, so they have done the letter. They don't have the full traffic study done yet because we don't even know how many lots we're talking about yet.
Studies at this
But-
point are so not really.
Right. But it's started, so, you know, once this will come with it, you know what I mean? And so that should help you guys get that light at some point in time, you know? At least get the conversation started with RDOT, which is huge.
Kaylee, do you have any more insight?
I would just make a suggestion to resolve it before council.
Okay.
Or try to come up with some other alternatives to that corner.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
traffic
because
is
that
one of
doesn't
the
work.
top priorities or the biggest concerns, I wouldn't move forward without having a resolution of that.
I think,
I know that's an ownership of the other property, and maybe there's a more creative way to look at it, where it's only half street. There has to be some option to get that connection.
will the city entertain a half street for that though?
That's a question.
I don't like a house.
I don't like the half street, I mean, I don't mind the stub out and then just right away green space and maybe some, again, the fee in lieu or something that
Right,
if that,
Down the road.
down the road,
right.
that it's covered.
That could very well be an option. I mean, fee and lieu could definitely be an option. It's just
an odd
it is an
property
odd.
line.
It
And
is.
the way that stub out hits that property line is convenient.
Yeah.
I kind of like what you kind of sketched there.
Oh, that was,
Or one of you did.
yeah, I was trying to make it work through there, but it would still allow this property.
It would, but here's what,
Can I
But
see
I
it?
think it would
Just-
allow for
yeah,
there
it-
more lots over here,
just,
and you could still have these two in there.
so, this all comes down to what happens here, but maybe
That would be great.
if there's a, if something fell through,
Right.
like I said, nothing materializes, or maybe there's an opportunity to do that where there's a sight line.
It's just a weird thing.
It is. I don't understand why they started it like that.
There was
We have that.
there was a reason that was stated, but I don't recall why, because there was something on that.
I mean, we're eating up like quite a bit of their backyard. I mean,
Yeah.
The closer we consider the property line, the more.
we'll maybe.
Right, yeah, well, if this completely fell apart, let's say nothing can happen, it's not just a no, but you know, right no. Maybe something like this, if that's for the betterment of the community down the road. But I mean, it's just weird,
It
but.
doesn't come in, you know, it's just weird. It's just out of such an angle that indicates it should go that way.
Why did they do it at that angle?
You know, I think talking about.
There's a lot of drainage that runs down that
that it's-
southern property line. There's a drainage easement that runs through it. And then right there on the eastern side of where that road is stepped out is a actual, inlet. And there's also, maybe some sewer.
I know, right, can they
I
straighten
wonder
it
if
out?
you could just,
Yeah.
Can't really tell from their aerial, but I mean, it's still awkward even with
Yeah,
natural features.
I feel like they did that because it correlates with the road to the north of it, it like continues that.
But that
one goes nowhere, it's also not even.
Which is weird.
It was weird to stub it out to me just at the intersection of two property lines.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Well, you could have shifted it one way or the other, or it was at least on just a property, not in between two property lines. That's the only.
Man, can't.
I don't know, it's wanting to go there, it doesn't want to go there with this design.
What if we just ceded right of way on our side of the property for half of it, then this half has its right of way, so that all we have to do at some point in time is get right of way for this property to be able to tie in. We just make this a big lot, and shift these. You see what I'm saying? I know. I just don't know how we're gonna make a connection without a half road. It's just gonna be awkward.
Or again, I don't know how this lot is over here, but if that made an adjustment there and a correction to it.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, can we
I
make
agree.
it, can we just like.
The problem is who pays for that because it's on Hillcrest property. You see what I'm saying?
I see. It would be this person.
You're talking about shifting that road.
Yeah,
Yes.
you just shift it.
Not a
You
lot.
shift it.
Well, I mean, it's going to affect a lot of utilities.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I'm saying, yes, on the east side, that whole southern line, that running east to west of the drainage easement, there's a drainage easement there, on the south side of all those lots, adjacent to their property. And then on that last lot, adjacent to the road, right on the east side of that road, stood out, is a large inlet, like box, like a, not a graded, area inlet.
Right.
There is a large,
Maybe.
there's an area inlet right there. And all of this is essentially draining easement to it.
That's why that all looks messed up.
Yeah, so there's a number of utilities all along that.
All right, so we've got connect,
And I think there might be a house being built right there already.
maybe some
Based on
potential
when we
creativity
tried
to it.
There is a house.
I think there might be a foundation being made right there. Yeah, I drove it yesterday. Yeah, because they're actually taking a driveway off of that street. Yeah.
All right, so to kind of wrap this up, I think that we satisfactorily given you where our perspective is.
Yes, sir.
Planning Commission, do you have any other input?
No, but I appreciate all the efforts.
Thank you.
Made since the beginning, for sure.
And you've formally requested this to be continue to be tabled, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the applicant's request to formally table, you should take action. Do I hear a motion on the floor?
Second.
Alan's motion to accept the tabling of this the applicant's request. Nancy seconded the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, that is tabled. Thank you much.
So we can still go to the workshop?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. We'll
Absolutely.
talk about it. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Nancy's second there, right?
Yes.
All right, so
Could I ask one thing for you on? You said earlier last time we had, I'm not clear on what y'all decided about how many lots this total is gonna be. Is it
So-
150, 160?
nothing's been decided.
Okay.
Nothing's been decided.
What
So
was that final thing, number 9 you said?
it had 167 total lots with 161 buildable lots that they could see. Now, it still has to go through engineering, environmental, and all that type of thing. So yeah, that's kind of the maximum is 161. What we talked about at our work session was they started working through this is a target of around 150, which gets us to about a density of 2 homes per acre.
Okay.
Okay?
That's,
Now, it's gonna be, and I'm happy to, you can talk to him more about the layout, or talk to staff, we can talk after this, but you can kind of see how it's shifted. It's not uniform all across there, right? There's some smaller lots, some medium size, and some larger lots that spread across it. A lot of it because of topography and trying to make that connectivity and those types of things. So, what we were talking about tonight, just to recap that, is to get the council's input as well, because all the different constituents from their areas, listen to what they have to say and get their input as well. We're trying to find from the future land use map how it's what the guides that we have for that area, how the rezoning requests would work with that, and in all of the things that was heard during the public comment related to traffic and those, that was one of the huge concerns right there, and drainage, how those things are managed, right? And so those are the elements that are being taken away to try and resolve.
sounds good.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So next item of business, if we're ready to move on, is for a public hearing related to RZ 2026-03. This is for the Summerlin Village property that is at the intersection of East Lowell and Ford. for parcel 0510002002. And if kind of preface this is a PZD, and the request is to amend the PZD to add clarity. This was approached by the city and staff to add the clarity for the intent of what was exhibited, and that went into the lot widths, because we had the quadplex and the fiveplexes that were always with the intent to be sold individual units, and the PZD language didn't clearly state that for that legal transaction. So that is what is being requested, and then we added some components to this, like to make sure that the color and tone of the residence match the area. There was some the elevations to kind of illustrate better illustrate the use of materials that are defined. Help me out if there was anything else that was
We talked about colors, but.
We talked about colors and we talked about materials. Materials are clearly stated. The elevations that were shared did not clearly indicate those materials. So
We mentioned screening to the east,
screening to the east.
and there might be another building in the future.
Well,
Was that already in there?
that was, the intent was there, the original.
So it's not changing anything.
The site plan that they are indicating would show one less building commercial space because of the holding tank for the sewer system, right?
Correct.
Because you have to have two distinct, one for commercial, one for residential for the lift stations, correct? Am I speaking correctly?
I think all one is just a large area, so it-
Yeah, it's just like with Hillcrest where they lost a lot, you know, the way my understanding, quite correct me, but like the way the state looks at it is, it's like a sewer facility and you have to be like 100 foot.
100 feet away.
Yeah, for us, 100-foot buffer, so it killed that whole area. But it is one facility.
One facility, but it's distant, it's
Distance.
moved,
Right.
which encroached where the structure would be, which offset it completely. The only way that would change is if the sewer system changed, right? That would remove the tank, which then would open up the opportunity of the building wanting to go back in there.
What is that area being screened with? Because that's gonna be run along forward. And I don't think we looked at it being placed, did we look at it placed right along
So
forward?
as of now, that would be city-owned property,
Right.
part of the ordinance of the water and sewer regulations, and so whatever the code states for that, how the city is. So we can help add a privacy fence if needed, or.
Yeah, that's something we need to look at.
Okay, so privacy fence is required.
It's gonna be a privacy fence, but it's gonna be what's that look like? It's gonna be right there along forward. If you wanna, for reference, Allen's Mill, or along Rainbow there, it's that big fenced-in area. Hillcrest now has that grand entrance of a fenced area. So it's just gonna be I don't wanna say ugly, but just a big fence.
I don't want the fence, we can do whatever it is, just to see what.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
That's our landscaping around too.
I
Well,
wondered if we could do some landscaping, because when we looked at the original plans, I don't recall, there was supposed to be parking there and a building. So now it's shifted over, so I think we might need to just take a look at how we're addressing that, because that is the.
yeah, here
that
was
is
the original
view.
intent. That was the original.
Yeah, so if that's pushing forward into where that building's at.
That's really good in the site development plan off the PCD.
Right, but this is
But-
the level of detail that we put in a PCD.
Yeah,
So we had all that before, as far as like making sure the corner was, landscaped appropriately with the parking and everything being.
I know we didn't talk about that in that detail the other day on the work session, but that's always kind of some things that kind of come back.
And
Think
that's
about
in
it.
the site plan, that we still have that. There are utilities there that would be an issue for.
But let me ask this question. I mean, I agree with you that the fencing is not always the best thing. That's what code says. So this is a PZD. Could that be?
Well, I'm wondering could you show me on here where the fence is? I'm sure you have an estimate of where you're putting it. In regard to the parking, is the parking staying where it is, are we still gonna have the planting? I'm wondering how far back. are
See,
all
this
the
was the original, right? This building's gone now.
So the fencing is pretty close to where the
Well,
parking
into
edge
the
is.
corner.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be really ugly for your development.
Trying to stay 100 feet between this building and this building and this building.
So 100 feet this way, this way.
And that's what the ADA
But that's,
requires.
yeah, and
Yeah.
how, you're gonna fence what size?
The area is like
It's
85 by 50, which is the city requirement.
So we are going to need to maybe maintain the level of landscaping we have in the corner, because we're already anticipating.
Yeah, we didn't remove any in that area.
That might help soften it a little, but it will just be,
Let me go over the top. This was the original PZD. You know, we had that structure right there, which that is no longer there.
how is that, with the site plan pulling out of that subdivision? You'll have to get that.
Well, it already takes the business sidewalks. So, make it like this.
Just want to make sure that we're looking at the ash tunnel on that one. So I try and make sure it's getting back out of the way. That's one question I have.
That's what.
They have access to the latest things that
It was putting the one drive.
That's where I went, and now it's like not there.
The one we use,
he really,
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. This, so this is where it's at. This is perfect. So this is where it's going, right?
Yes, it's there.
So it's here. So that's 100 feet from there. Here. That's 35 by 50. 5 feet. What's our code say? It's supposed to be 6 foot tall?
Fence, yes. Minimum of 6 feet tall. You know, we call it divisions or something taller, but we'll have to be sure.
And it's gotta be okay, or?
Privacy.
Like, everything's privacy so far, I don't know what the specific wording is, but there might be something that allows for the chain link with the,
Well, I was going with, this has a fence here, right? The wrought iron fence. And if this was wrought iron,
Usually it's privacy.
Yes, there is
Public
that
area,
fence,
the law.
because
And then the other side, like, you have ours now, is that one changing on the other side? I think
the gate is,
yeah. It's privacy, not the drive.
on the north side.
We're really getting into the sewer specs out there, so I'm not 100% certain.
well, I was just curious, because we're talking about aesthetics.
I would
Talking about
agree.
this, that the wrought iron matched the other corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any reason why it couldn't be?
Actually, ground is the verticals are the electrical, and there's a transformer over here.
Gas,
that was, those were residential lot, it would be a fence.
Yeah. I just don't know that.
Yeah, because they've already got it.
And it's, I think it's also like sideline, so as long as the actual sideline goes in there, landscaping will be also, so it's not all confidence, I'm looking at that and wondering if our trees are right there.
There's gas back here.
So right now, it's there's 6 or 8 foot guys with things all the way down that side right now. So up and down, and it's just small, very small section of the bigger place.
My concern is that it's
I would say that the entrance is.
I know, yeah, for me, but this is like what we were gonna see, what's going in there, we're gonna see this corner, something about the sign,
I don't care if that fits or not, I don't.
It's just what they,
Push it in front of it,
current code says.
that's not our opinion.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, now we're taking out the
All right. Next, we do have a public hearing. We got into the weeds because we were talking about what we're amending. And we got in the weeds on this. So I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna come back and restate what we're doing again. So we've been kind of debating here, got off track. So public comment, we're gonna have public comment tonight. And what it's about is this PCD amendment, which is allowing to the original intent of what the PCD was, is to allow the fourplex and the quadplex to be independently sold. It's not one building that's in sublet. So these are all individually purchased homes that have a zero lot line. So this is correcting that language in the PZD. And then in the process of this correction, we asked for some additional clarification, which was colors of the homes, architectural, the elevations, reflecting what the materials are as it's written inside. It's just those illustrations. So those were it's a little bit of the landscape stuff. Those are what we're asking for. That's what is being asked for in the PZD. It's a correction to the PZD language or add better clarification. So with that being stated, now I'm going to open up public comment. If you want to make public comment as it relates to this PZD, basically amending what this is, please approach the podium, state your name and address. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So public hearing or public comments now open. Later.
Is this appropriate for questions as well, or is it just related to?
Yeah, well, your comment can be a question, and the questions will be addressed, but what I'll do is allow, it may not be answered at the moment that I'll hear all the public comments, and then some of them may be overlaps, and if they are, then we'll address those at the end, and also give the applicant the opportunity to discuss those questions as well. So questions are encouraged if you have those.
You can come to the.
Did you come to the podium?
State your name and your address.
Hi there, Andrew Turner. I'm at 452 Sunset Drive. So I'm in the Brentwood neighborhood that's right behind. I'm just more curious. I came here to learn a little bit about it. I'm new to the neighborhood, but I'm now on the POA of Brentwood. And so I'm curious with this development, just looking to learn more. As somebody who lives in the city, where can I find more on this development that's taking place to understand it, as well as with these questions you guys have posed, how can I know the outcomes of them, such as like the privacy fence, the sewage, and then with the zero lot line, sorry, different question. This is saying townhomes, but it's not necessarily up against the road or the border behind it, just zero lot line homes was the only amendment? Okay, clarify on that then.
So, staff, David, with the city, is able to get you record of what we've looked at thus far, what's been approved in the PZD documents. And then our meetings, of course, always welcome.
Yeah.
First and third Monday of the month, every time. And then you're welcome to also go online and watch any videos if you want to recap of what we talked about.
Okay, I couldn't find it easily online, so I just wanted to make sure there is a good spot to see them. But I can reach out to you guys after, so I'll make it easy.
Yeah, I sent some stuff out on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, they used to be Facebook, but now you're YouTube.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. That was all I had.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I don't know if this is the right time, but I have questions overall about just the overall site plan and its viability, because based off some of the numbers I've seen, it doesn't work. So I just have questions about the overall, everything that has to do with it. My name's Marcus, and Brentwood as well, and I just have a lot of questions about the site plan. So Kirkendall, and I'm actually under contract on a house right across from the development, and this is kind of determining if I'm going to proceed or not, because it's going to add 22 units across the street from me. That's a lot of traffic, a lot of people in the area. I'm very concerned about that. Overall, I have a lot of concerns around just the buildings themselves and their viability. So specifically, like I've been looking at other townhomes in the area. There's oversaturation in that market. Currently, right down the road in Lowell, we've got Parkside at Lowell. They have 39 units available right now, 1,600, 2,000 square feet, similar to this. 2-bed, 2.5-bath, 3-bed options similar. Price around $380 to $533. They got a lot of amenities like resort-style pool, fitness room, racetrack greenway access, dog park, pickleball court, tennis, basketball, and it's also a gated community. All for an HOA of $1,200 a year, which isn't a lot for all the amenities you're getting. These also have backyards, and they've been on the market for over 200 days. Take a guess at how many have sold so far. 3 of 39 that have been listed. They're also offering 10K in concessions, and the sales are still not happening, so there's not a demand for this. So I'm concerned about the viability, because what's going to happen to these properties once they don't sell? Similarly, in Bellevue Place, which is right on Bellevue Road, not too far away either, they had built 9 units there in that community, 1,800 square feet, 3-bed, 2.5-bath, 2-car garages, $475, so a little bit higher. Higher HOA, 2,200, no amenities. 10K in flex credit they're offering, 300 plus days on the market. They've only sold 2 so far. The remaining 7 are being bundled and marketed as rental properties, as that being the prime purpose of them now, because they're not selling, and they're still sitting there. And that's what I'm concerned about happening, is how are we going to enforce our HOA rules whenever an investor comes in, buys up all the properties because they're not going to be sold individually? What are we going to do then? And then also just all the property maintenance that goes into that. And similarly, I mean, Brentwood has specific HOA rules and covenants around building that aren't being followed. And these properties, when I initially heard about it, I thought they were going to be not connected to Brentwood, but they're going to be sharing Cavern Springs Way. That road will be shared. How is the parking situation going to look? I mean, the car, yes, they have a 2-car garage and a driveway that could probably fit 2 cars as well. But at that point, are we going to have a lot of traffic parking up and down Cavern Springs Way, blocking homes' driveways? Also, the homes in Cavern Springs, when they were built, they had to be 80% brick, stucco, and stone. These are only 50% at that. And then the buildings also, no building shall be erected on any lot nearer than 25 feet to the property line. These appear to be closer to that. I couldn't find direct measurements, but they seem to be closer. And then special rules around like occupation of them. And then also the roofs must have certain gables at 812. It consists of a certain type of shingles, not that important. But still, I feel like this development should have to follow all of those rules, because it is directly across from other homes in the neighborhood. It's part of the neighborhood. And then also concerns around just the traffic of having, so right now in Brentwood, that section of Cavern Springs has 7 homes on it. This will be adding 24 on that little section right there, and then 34 overall. So we're basically tripling the number of people living directly on Cavern Springs. So triple the people, you'd kind of expect similar increase in traffic. And then also just like the more busier street there. I mean, our neighborhood park and pool are right there in the development on that road on the corners. So just concerns around like children playing in the area and walking to the park and being at the park by themselves. And then also the residents of this development, I mean, are they going to be using our amenities because they don't have any? Like, will they be coming down to use our park and like entering our pool? Like how we can try to enforce that, but ultimately it's hard to do that unless you have someone there enforcing rules all the time. So then what about the additional wear and tear on all our items? Like, is that going to cause our HOA costs to go up? And it's just, doesn't really seem to be a win there. But yeah, my main concern is just it doesn't seem viable based off all the supply in the area. There's not a demand to account for it. And yeah, so that's just my thoughts. And I just wanted to make that known.
Appreciate your input. Or any other public comment related to the matter? there's not any other public comment, well, before I end up, I'll give the applicant any other, if you want to make any public comments related to anything that's stated, you have the floor if you so choose.
So just specifically to the rezone, I think you summarized that well. It's just a couple of different items that got missed, specifically the zero lot line, which we all are in agreement that was the intent. The building sizes are not changing, just that the individual units, the demising wall would be the property line, allowing that for it to be sold individually. The landscape plan, we did add additional screening and trees on the east side to provide a better buffer between Brentwood and our development. I'm trying to think what else was there. The architectural drawings did get updated. We made them more realistic and more earth tone colors. That was an easy fix that should have happened a long time ago. I just let the architect do what he wanted, not what we are going to actually do. The building materials are reflected on those, although the percentages in the PZD are what can actually be enforced, not whatever we put on a rendering. So even if that was completely hardy or brick or whatever, if it didn't fit those percentages, that could not be built, and the city could enforce that and not issue a C of O until they fix that. So the renderings are now corrected, but just want to make sure that it's clear that the rendering is not set in stone. The percentages are. Other than that, nothing's changed as far as the rezone for the PCD.
I'll make one clarification. I did not put the trees on that buffer in the PCD. It's in the site plan now. Because I didn't move them on the PCD, just to be clear.
That's why he's the engineer.
Well, just want to make sure that's not the case. Yeah, all right.
Which the site plan is after this rezone phase, so it doesn't.
I would feel more comfortable with it being noted in the PDD, because that's what our standard of holding it
That's right.
accountable is.
No problem.
And, I mean, it's just adding a one liner or something to it.
If you want to just add some verbiage saying that gets approved, mimicking the site plan, that's completely fine.
Alright, so to be clear, we talked, like, one of it was the lot line adjustments, right? So, what was our old one? I was like, so side by side. I just wanna go back to make sure we've got, because that was what's started this whole conversation.
Back to what?
Yeah, so we've had public comment. Is there any other questions or comments this planning commission wants to make as related to the matter? If not, I'm going to close public comment.
Do you want to address any concerns?
Well, then we go into session.
Okay, go ahead.
We go to session.
Yes, then we can close.
So with that being said, I'm going to close public comment. Public comment's now closed. Now we'll go into session, which is what we would do to take action as relates to the public hearing of the matter. So RZ 2026-03, this was again the rezoning of the Summerlin Village, which is existing PZD along East Lowell Avenue and Ford intersection there of this parcel 05-100-002-002, which is around about 7 acres. Existing PZD was approved and adopted by the city. We are brought it back. This will go back to council as it relates for adoption because of clarification as it relates to the zero lot line for individual units, and then some amendments that came along with that as to insurance of the colors, the illustrations of the architectural renderings, with material selections, and then we've also discussed the landscape as that relates screening. I'm trying to get, for whatever reason, drive problems. It's not, it's, I had all of this open before I entered the building, and now that I entered the building, it's, there's nothing more than, I had all this in queue for a reason. Here we go. Well, I had it all queued. Now I'm getting it back, it's slowly populating back here. Go. It's a low. I had it from
Waterford Parliament.
yeah, I don't know why it's making me download it. I want the one, I just been comparing, while we're at this juncture, I'm just confirming. So that's why it won't open it. It sees it, but it won't.
Will it be download completed?
Keeps giving me an error occurred while opening the file. I don't know, so much for loading, preloading all this stuff. Yes. There it is. Alright. So I have that, yeah.
Which one is that?
This was what the PZ, this was the adopted PZD. And then we had, so when we did the amendment, so that's the old one, and so the new one calls out, I wanted to read it for the record, like what we're, I have the digital one here, I like the side by side. Here we go, so here, so, here's this one. right, so the original did not have in section D, PZD lot data, did not have the specific, it still called out the maximum lot, it said 10,000 square feet, 10 units per acre, including the right of way. But it stated the building lot, basically interior side at 10 foot, exterior side 15, front 20, rear 25, maximum structure height at 30 feet. And then it talked about the lot, right? And it said, this was the side of buildings, but it was 10 and 15, which is not the 0, didn't reflect that, which was on the illustrations, right? And so now that verbiage comes into, like, the minimum lot size is 2,000 square feet, allowing for a 0 side setback, right? With a front,
Interior side.
yeah, adjoining side, so we got the adjoining side setback goes to 0. This is where they abut each other. You have a front at 20, an exterior side, so if I'm on the exterior lot, right, I get 15 feet, and the rear is 25 feet, okay? So the maximum lot width is 18, or lot width minimum, that's not maximum, minimum is 18 feet. Okay, so basically, correct, which was the structure, okay? And then we have the lot type for the commercial stays the same. No changes there. So we just added that clarity in table D under the PZD lot data.
Correct.
Everybody agree? That's,
Try to keep it as simple as possible.
yeah.
Being clear.
If you're gonna try.
We had a couple of different discussions back and forth, and I think we, had one round, and we had another round. It's like, well, I think, one of the last ones was even just the verbiage as far as interior, joining, sorry, yeah, it was the joining, adding the word joining, to try and make it, as clear as possible. And then then there's the additional, just sentence verbiage below that in the other section about match the home finishes, right, match the.
Under section E, we added residential buildings to be in color tones similar to near residential areas. Basically, what we were trying to do was, without calling out other neighborhoods, make reference that the color tones need to match and blend, not be yes, not that they don't have a place. Now what happened? Just closed on me. So then we did the architectural was added to it to show to reflect that. So
Yes.
I think the only thing that's not shown there was back to the landscape comment, which was pulled out, was we'd like to see something screening on the east, illustrated and called out in the PZD.
It doesn't, for me, it doesn't even need to be illustrated. I think if you will make a statement in there that screening will be provided between this development and the adjacent subdivision, then I think we will pick it up in site plan. And just that screening will be picked up, or that it will meet our city code with the intent, which would be a non-compatible use or different density level, so we have screening.
Works for us. And if that can be just added as a comment within the
Contingency that.
tonight, correct?
So updated in the document.
Kaylee, anything else from your perspective? I will make the motion, but I just want to make sure it captures the you.
That's okay, that's right.
Alright, so, I'll make a motion for conditional approval of the PZD, basically amending the PZD, adding to section D the clarity of 0 lot line that is stated in the subject document. Also adding under, where's the previous comment? Section E, the comments about clarity. What section was it that was under? Because it just what section was that for architecture, please?
Exhibit C,
The renderings, which one was it?
Exhibit C, I believe.
It was, is it? I was thinking it was after the D and E.
It's G.
G.
Is interior.
No, the architectural rendering. Technology's great till it stops. It literally, I scrolled and it just went black. It says unable. There we go. Maybe it's-
Sign me out.
Is it A?
Yeah, but that was under, right there. Exhibit D. So that's what it's called. So under Exhibit D, the architectural renderings were added, and then we contingently want a statement added. What section was that? Would be under? What's the landscape section? Since this-
Down further.
So landscape is.
and open space.
So landscaping in under section G, I believe, will include language, or is it H now? Oh, it is. This is
It says
H.
landscaping space here.
So strike that under section, that's the news. So under section H, we'll add verbiage related to site plan screening. Include the screening between the two transitional properties. Something else. Is that
Lift station.
Huh?
Lift station?
The lift station will be picked up by city code.
Code.
But the landscaping is already in there, that's not going away in the document, right? So that's,
So we covered that through H, the contingency on landscape comments area.
and we'll pick it up on the site plan where, so we're gonna need to move that landscaping.
I think that was it.
So,
Rotating.
So we hit for that.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll pick it up on the site plan.
So, so that's the motion for approval with contingency. Does anyone want any further clarification?
No, I'll second
Nancy seconded the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so that is contingently approved. Those illustrations need to be shown. And this will go to council for final adoption of the PZD. So, again, just making these amendments for clarity on the transactions. All right. Thank you. So the next Woody City Council meeting is, what's the date? That will be held in front of City Council.
That's next week.
The work sessions.
12.
The work session is the 12th, but action off this recommendation would be the 26th. Okay, so this will be in front of the City Council for the 26th on adoption, work session on the 12th for that. So I would expect you to have this in front of them for the work session. I have spoken to a member of council about it, explain to what it is. So they should, and try to keep those communication lines open as well. So. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next item of business is a planning commission calendar revision, and I'm not clear on this, David, so what?
No, site plan review.
It's, that jumped, oh, sorry, I jumped down. Site plan review. Getting ahead of myself. So we're talking about the same thing at last time. Site plan review for Summerlin Village. So again, this is the same subject property now, this is on the site plan side. This is open now. Sorry. You with it? So let's talk through this. David, it's a staff report as we walk through this component. Site plan clearly illustrates the lines, shows the commercial building. Clearly have the lines, it does on one sheet, it does on the other. Has Adam seen this?
Yes.
Does Adam have comments?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like they're working through comments with our city engineer, and then there are no updates as of the last note on here. So it looks like
It was very late last week.
what is it?
So they came in very late last week. Sorry, comments. I mean, they returned it to us towards the middle, beginning of last week. The Cleveland hasn't had a full review on it, but they have some comments that came in from them very late last week.
So we're still waiting for further updates from the club, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And this is for the commercial as well as the townhomes?
Yes, the entire site plan.
So we're gonna need to see the landscape plan updated, especially reflecting the new corner and then the screening. That'll be picked up as well.
I think all that is included.
It's all yeah.
So are we just looking
You
for,
talking about, that based on what we talked about tonight?
right,
Okay.
because we just made comment, they're gonna pick it up and
Correct,
and then.
yeah. We can make that a note or a contingency for this approval as well, that is shown, but it is shown on this one,
Yeah, it should be.
on the site plan.
I would feel better if McClellan were done with their review, given the changes we've discussed tonight.
So-
Before we make an approval.
Well, we talked about the work session, as well as the planning commission meeting last month, was, I don't think we've had any major changes in this plan in 4 months. And David, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't see anything on this list that looks right.
Yeah.
We first submitted this project for rezone in February of 2025, so we're nearing 14 months. The RM12 zoning rezone got shut down quickly, rightfully so we switched to the PCD. That was approved, I believe, in September. And we've had very little minor changes to the structure of the plan. It's been comments back and forth, and I understand that the engineering department has to do their job, and we've responded, and we want to be thorough. But we're just trying to, we want to get a move on the project. The roads at this point are not going to change. The lots are not going to change. Nothing that we would do in the next several months or the first several months of development would change. So that's what we're after this week. We provided this list with the outstanding items. A couple of these which are out of our hands. We have been waiting on the final lift station pressures. That's not going to change the effectiveness of it. It's not going to change anything other than maybe what size pump we put in, or correct me if I'm wrong, David or Clint. Is there anything that I'm missing on this one that you see as a problem for a contingent approval?
I mean, the only thing that, the biggest outstanding item is the actual lift station site. I mean, I know we haven't heard back from the attorneys on that yet, but there's still some back and forth. And,
so right now,
public works, that's the biggest concern, from their standpoint.
This would be, if this were to be approved, it would be just your standard city ordinance where it goes deeded straight to the city. That deed verbiage that would be added for a clause at the end would be later on if in the final plat, if we can come to an agreement on that. So we're not, this isn't contingent upon that. We'll give that lot to the city, and then I think we're close enough that we can work that out before final plat is issued.
On your outstanding items, what's outstanding with final drainage approval?
Well, I've actually got the list that, we talked about last time, and stuff in McCollum. I have to just, leave that go over that as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see a copy. It's not in the packet, though, is it?
So what?
It wasn't in the packet.
No, again, some of this even came today. Like, just to preface, McClellan is okay with the conditional approval. So they've all stated that.
I wish Adam was here to state that.
I know, and I will read you what he sent, because he sent over that email stating as such, and I said, I need more clarification than that. So, just a second, because there's multiple backs and forth here. So what he sent in today, Friday, was from an engineering, stormwater, and utility review standpoint. I believe we could provide the project with conditional approval, given that the applicant addresses any and all outstanding comments once the formal review is complete. We've not completed a full review, but based on a cursory review, and again, this was from them having sent it Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. We don't think the remaining comments would drastically change the plan set. He went on to say he would like to make sure no Public Works comments are addressed, which is what I was referencing earlier with the ownership of the site, which Nico referenced that worst case scenario based on what they're showing, that it will just be deeded to the city and it will just move on like it normally would.
Yeah, no special conditions.
That's what I was just talking with Nico, and that's what he just stated. I don't think there's going to be any issues there from a Public Works standpoint, if that is the case. Because I did reach out to, me and Will, and both reached out to Justin in the last 2 working days, just to see where we're at on the process and we're working on that. So stated that about Will. I asked for some additional clarification from them, specifically a list of the outstanding items. Peter DeLong sent back that, he's mainly concerned with the pond, wanted to review the drainage calc and specs that they did. He thinks the pond is sized big enough, but there's just some concerns there. He wants to make sure the numbers are right. And then Adam went on to send another email, and he actually gave the list of what we're looking at. So along with the drainage report and plans, as Peter mentioned, lower additional engineering items to address. Submit RDOT email correspondence and approval, as noted in comment responses letter, proposed driveways along Highway 264, provide an easement plat document that details all utility drainage and access easements, provide design and details for any water lines to commercial building for fire/sprinkler requirements, and then provide/locate fire hydrant to commercial buildings with fire code, provide irrigation needed for commercial buildings/lot, add erosion control, concrete fluid detention pond, address minor lift station design and sewer alignment comments, coordinate lift station property with Public Works and Engineering prior to plan approval, which is what we're talking about. It says it's currently shown as a separate lot. Plan layout now shows 4 or 5 unit townhome for residential lot with no internal lot lines for individual units. Please coordinate any individual unit lots with plan. Keep in mind as I read this to you, they have not been sent any of this, because this was a cursory review of just some of the items that got sent back like today, like noonish or afternoon today. So these are just some of those, but they went on to say that, keep in mind due to the time of the resubmittal initial comments they provided, once the formal review is completed, they will send over the formal review comments that we will make sure that they receive. But based on the outstanding comments, engineering is accepting of the conditional approval at this time. And that's what I have to say. Both times.
Yeah, and with drainage being on there, in this quadrant of the city alone, I feel like a drainage concern needs to be all the way accepted by the engineer before we, I don't know.
That's what this would be doing, though.
No, you don't understand. No, but we've had very many mishaps in that area, depending on, contingent upon,
Okay. So I guess what I'm seeking is just a resolution to this project.
I agree.
And I guess part of my questions are, how many rounds of comments can we go back and forth if new items keep coming up? With
So
nothing.
they're all resolved.
But if it's a plan said that we didn't change anything and then they find something new, where's
something
the,
new on drainage?
what's that?
The site layout similar to what it's been.
Yeah, I don't think anything has
I would
changed.
say that should be wrapped up.
Yeah.
I guess that would be my stance for you.
I agree. I would love for it to be wrapped up. So I'm just
Smaller,
kind
simpler
of, we haven't
items,
changed anything.
More
It's-
minimal too, but for drainage, that needs to be buttoned up before I can vote in favor of a contingent. We're learning
got
as
too
we
many
mentioned, that we
drainage
have
problems.
to make sure that it's signed off on all the way before we say yes.
So,
And I think it's a fair statement that we've done contingencies in the past, expecting that things happen the way they needed to.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion that it hasn't always happened like it needed to once we transition contingency. And
That's what all the residents that you've heard in the recent meetings have been complaining about.
we're
And
not,
it's in this area.
and we're not saying that there's anything
It's
that
not
can
a
change.
relationship.
I think we as a, just in my opinion, and again, you know what those are worth, right?
Millions.
Is we want a high level of we want to make surety that once it's passed here, that the product is a good product and doesn't segue or move when we allowed a contingency, right? That there was a comfort level, we got the engineering stamp, because sometimes that information doesn't come back. This shifted, this changed. And we find out when it's too late that it shifted and changed. And I guess I'm gonna pick on that Hillcrest, the stub out.
I mean, that's what we.
That was a situation, there was some things that had contingencies on it because of engineering related matters. And then some things cropped up, but it was well past time that we could maybe influence that and change that to help come up with a better product for the city. I'm not saying we could fix it, but we didn't get the opportunity to come back and try to give another perspective to resolve it. And trust me, because I am an engineer, we're very project-minded, task-oriented. And I see where you're coming from. We have a task, we need to get it done, we need to move, right? But sometimes in moving, we don't make the right move for the long term. We made a move that solved the problem in the moment, the immediate moment. So I'm not saying that's happened here, but I think from my perspective, I'm kind of reading what a few of the other ladies are saying is we just want that high level of assurity that it's gone through the engineering side and it didn't change at the end. So I would expect that in 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks, you've got this all resolved. Am I correct? Am I wrong?
I would expect that they will have a review to send back, yes, within the next 2
Because
weeks. If they've gotten this much done in a short amount of time, I would hope that, and especially if they're, let's say from the McClellan standpoint, they're okay with commission approval, that they don't expect too many other comments to come about.
would it be okay to word a contingent approval upon no changes, but just acceptance? of the outstanding items. Because the problem that you guys brought up, which I understand, is if it gets out of your hands and then something changes. So if they have looked at it roughly, they're okay with it as long as the numbers check out. If there are just okays rather than problems, would that, the reason I ask that too is I don't know if there's a set number of weeks or days for the response turnaround times, but that has been a little bit of an issue throughout this process. And I get it, they've got a lot of work to do. It's not their fault. But when we're waiting 3, 4, 5 weeks to get some comments back, and then these few new items pop up, we answer those pretty quickly. And then we have to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks to see more problems. It just drags on and costs everybody money, and it just doesn't seem like an efficient way to do it. And it's frustrating trying to develop something that we think is good for this city. And it's just discouraging. And we want to try to get to the end of it. We want the engineer approval. They have to stamp it off. It has to be right. The numbers don't lie. I would ask that we don't have to wait until the June meeting, 30 days from today, to wait for the engineer to say yes, it was okay. And I'd be.
I understand your frustration, and I'm okay with doing conditional approvals when the conditions are not such a long list of so many things that are not signed off on. And I think we have too many here, for my comfort level.
So where would that number be? I mean, the engineer that the city contracts to review the plan is recommending that they're okay with it. So where does that line go? Is there a certain number of items that we get to, or?
I think every project is different. It's not apples to apples. It never will be in development, unfortunately. But you and I both know one small change could reflect somewhere else. It could still be tidied up on the engineering side, and that we may not even know about it as a commission. And that's what we're, I think, firmly telling you isn't acceptable for our commission. We're hearing it from the residents loud and clear. And as far as waiting for the June meeting, if the drainage is tidied up and engineering signs off on it prior to our work session meeting, I would propose and be open to holding a meeting for you to approve it then, so we're not slowing you down. But I would expect it to be all tidied up by then, or I wouldn't be in favor again.
I would assume that if we're this far along, that they could also, I say so, I'm fine with just submitting grading.
Permit.
Yes.
That would make us extremely happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason you can't submit a grading plan from my standpoint, and you have that process started, because that's going to take the same amount of review.
Yeah.
You know, so if they're feeling comfortable and, we feel comfortable, the timeline actually may not be a big difference submitting the grading plan now versus submitting the grading plan after a full blown approval.
And it probably won't be at all. By the time we get the comments back and forth one more time, it's probably going to be the June meeting. All it is for us is surety, knowing that if we complete this and we make it through this next step, we're good. It's no more back and forth. So if we could push forward on the grading permit at this time, that would be very helpful.
Well, that is a process you have to go through.
Yeah.
And that can take a few weeks anyway.
Yes, exactly.
I think the grading permit is probably contingent upon the site plan.
It will be contingent upon the site plan, but it is based on the site plan. They're going to make sure that the grading, permit is following the site plan. So might as well have them both ready at the same time.
Yeah. And I don't think if we have site plan approval, are there any reasons of why the grading permit wouldn't be approved other than just time and procedures?
That's more of a procedural thing.
Yeah. So it's not really.
That really just goes through staff.
They wouldn't be allowing us to go start grading before this.
Which it wouldn't until it was reviewed.
Yeah. So. I would still request that, based upon staff and engineering approval of them being okay with the contingent items, that you guys would vote and approve this for the site plan only. There's still a final plat to go along with this, correct?
Yes.
This is just preliminary, so the items that get done have to be double checked and triple checked, and it's a long process from now to then. Yeah. Us, developer and engineer, staff, city engineer, all seem to be in agreement and have been working well together. The timing is tough, so that's where we're at.
I would make a motion that we table it until we have our outstanding items and confirmed and approved by engineering.
I second
All right, so we've got a motion to the floor to table this site plan review. Alan made that motion, Nancy seconded that motion. Vote on, all those in favor of tabling, say aye.
that.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. So I think that was unanimous, we'll table it for now. Now, I will, if we were to look at, if you got all successful comments back for a special, if
We've been trying,
it can, and if we can legally have a called meeting for that, it's not a public comment, it's an instant action, so we have to notice. So if we could entertain doing that at the work session in 2 weeks. So there's some onus on everybody to do their part. If that happens, then, but if it comes back and there's some unsatisfactory commentary that changes something, then we know that, right? So, so if we can do that, let's entertain that. All right, so now, sorry,
I'm still, it's not great stuff.
there's no reason why the grading permits couldn't be body, and that process started. Again, needs that successful site plan review to so I think we can come to a resolution. All right, so now we have the planning commission calendar revision, which related to September 8th.
Yes.
It looks
So-
exactly the same as the one I had before.
Oh, no, it's the same, I just highlighted it. I've not made any changes, proposed any changes, because I was gonna give you the backstory.
Oh.
As it came to my, attention, September 8th is the second Tuesday, and that's also the city council meeting.
Conflict with city council.
Yeah, we found it on the
We can do a joint meeting.
Yes, the community
Well,
building
how
calendar.
does city council meetings start?
6. Yeah.
And it's their work session.
They can work in the back.
Yes.
Congress does joint sessions, can we not do a joint session, city council, and planning commission?
Mayor, maybe we could learn something.
But
You might want to be careful what you ask for.
That's true, that's true.
Hey, save you. We have more time.
Yeah.
So I figured we need to look at changing our name,
Okay.
because
Like
It-
what?
it was one of those things where-
Birthday?
we reviewed this numerous times, and I saw it, and I'm like, no, did they move the main council meeting? And I'm like, oh, no, the first is on a Tuesday. Like, the whole process was confusing there for a minute as I was, looking into all this, and yes.
So, yeah.
So realistically,
And Labor Day is on
the
7th.
7th,
Yeah.
yes. To me, it's one of those where, like, should we be doing it Tuesday, September 1st? That, that's, if there was a first Monday, there's not a first Monday, so Tuesday, September 1st would be the first.
And there's no scheduling conflicts with this building for September 1st.
Yeah, so
It's not a holiday, the holiday doesn't happen until the 7th. That's
An
definitely.
application deadline have to back up.
I wouldn't push
Because
anybody's
that's
application.
the first Monday of September. the 7th is the first Monday of
Because
September.
we're the ones moving on.
And our meeting would be the first.
Unless it was just a, no, it's still time for rezoning.
Well, we can't do the Tuesday the 8th because of the city council.
We can do the first one, 15.
So do it Tuesday the 1st.
That was just my off-the-cuff recommendation. We could look at, the Thursday the 3rd. But to me, I wanted to try and get it in front of the city council meeting on May.
Yeah.
And so that was why I'm looking at that day.
Tuesday the 1st. It's either Tuesday the 8th or Tuesday the 1st. They're already
I don't
get it
see
done.
any conflicts in the calendar for the first.
Let's do the first.
Alright. So, with that being said, are we gonna back up the application deadline?
No,
Just,
okay,
okay, leave it as that.
But this is us moving our stuff, and I should still have enough time to, get rezonings and things like that, and paper and make everything.
Alright, so we all in agreement before we make a motion September 1st, which is a Tuesday?
Well, do we want to, are we gonna change the 21st to be, or do you wanna move that one back or just leave it on the 21st?
Just leave it on the 21st. Because that would just be, because that would be its normal.
That would be the normal day.
Yeah.
That'll keep you
Yeah.
One day.
That works.
Because we're gonna have a 3-week in there one way or another.
Yeah.
So if we were able to have had it on the 7th or the 8th, we would have had the 3 weeks from the previous work session. So at least this way we're having the 3 weeks until a work session. It actually, to me, works out better when, we can have more time to review things from like an engineering standpoint for 3 weeks to come and act on it, instead of someone waiting 3 weeks for a decision from a work session. Yeah, I would rather do it this way.
Okay. We need a motion to the floor.
I move that we change our September business or whatever you want to call meeting, September to the 1st. September 1st, it was scheduled for the 8th, and that's a conflict with council, so we will change our September 8th meeting to September 1st.
I'll second.
Nancy made a motion, Val has seconded that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so we have amended our calendar. So next item of business, if there's nothing else to discuss, is adjournment. Don't everybody go at the same time.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Val's made a motion for adjourn.
Second that.
Kaylee seconded that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, we are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.